Hey guys, it's Casey and welcome back to the channel. So where are we with the latest stimulus approval negotiations? Well, as of right now, the parties have not resumed negotiations since they broke off talks a week ago, and the Senate has adjourned through Labor Day for their 2-week recess. Now, at issue are two competing proposals. The House Democrats passed the $3.4 trillion HEROES Act in May, and the Senate Republicans introduced the $1 trillion HEALS Act at the end of July. Now, during negotiations over these stimulus packages, Democrats led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senator Chuck Schumer, they offered to trim the $1 trillion from the HEROES Act. In return, they asked the Republicans led by Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to increase their package by $1 trillion. The offer was rejected. Now, there are two key issues that stand in the way of a deal. One is the enhanced unemployment benefits and the aid to the state and local governments. Now, the HEROES Act called for a continuation of $600 a week in the federal unemployment benefits, and the HEALS Act provided $200 a week, followed by a formula that they would give for unemployment up to 70% of your prior income when combined with the state unemployment insurance. Now, during negotiations, the Republicans offered to meet in the middle with the $400 weekly benefit, but they weren't willing to get to the $600 that the Democrats demanded. And when they presented that to the Democrats rejected the offer, and they haven't moved on the $600 benefits proposal since they approved it in the HEROES Act. Now, in regards to the state and local aid, the HEROES Act calls for $915 billion to be paid out over this year and over the next. And the HEALS Act, it didn't provide any additional state and local funding, none at all. So the Democrats want $915 billion, and the HEALS Act provides none. Now, during negotiations, the Republicans, they did offer to finally cave in a little bit and provide $150 billion to the state and local governments. But the Democrats looked at that $150 billion and they said, They flat out rejected it, and they are still calling for the $915 originally. So I think the real question at this point is are the Democrats demanding too much money, or are the Republicans just being flat out stingy? That's the question. Now, as noted, the Republicans, they have proposed $400 a week for benefits for unemployment, while the Democrats, they continue to stand by their initial proposal of $600. Now, keep in mind, a $600 weekly benefit, that pays 2/3 of individuals more than they made while they were working. At least that's according to a study out of the University of Chicago. Now, the median wage replacement rate is 134%, and 1 out of 5 individuals would receive at least twice as much as their original lost wages before the pandemic. So this raises the question as to why the federal government should take on additional debt to pay individuals more money to stay home than they made while originally working. But there's a lot of people who believe that that's not the case. Now, it has also raised concerns that a $600 benefit gives some disincentive to return to the work, although there have been studies from the University of Yale that state that that does not occur and that there is not being disincentivized in order to do that. Now, as one teacher told NPR when they went on the news, they said that it's terrible to say, but they said, but a lot of people are doing better now, and they don't think that they need the additional $600 to go back to work. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because we still have quite a few people that are still unemployed in this country. Now, still, some believe that a $600 benefit does not discourage individuals from returning to work. Now, Chuck Schumer, he said that the idea that this benefit motivates some to stay home, he says that it just flat out belittles the American people, and that it's insulting to their work ethic. And I think I'd have to agree with that. Now, he said that to bolster this idea, some point to the Yale University, which I've already alluded to, that flat out claimed that that's just not the case, that the $600 just does not demotivate or disincentivize people. Now, the study, however, did not reach the conclusion that definitively that that's the case. The study was based on data from a home-based company that provides scheduling and time clock software to small businesses. And the researchers, they looked at a sample of employees, all of whom received the $600 benefits, and they classified these individuals based on how generous their total unemployment insurance benefits were with the $600 payment, as compared to the pre-pandemic 19 benefits without the federal assistance. And based on this comparison, they found that those with more generous benefits were just as quick, if not quicker, to return to work than those with less generous benefits. Now, the study didn't attempt to determine, how quickly individuals would return to work without the $600 benefit at all, or with some of the amount. But it did also note that it is impossible to directly estimate the extent to which firms and workers choose not to work as a result of the unemployment expansion, since the effect is offset by the economic stimulus of income expansion that indirectly boosts employment. Wow, that's a lot to take in. Regardless of the incentives, the question still remains whether or not it's good policy to pay individuals more to stay at home. Now, in June, a leading group of economists from both sides of the aisle, they pushed for extended unemployment benefits of no more than $400 a week. And the $400 was authored by Jason Furman, who was basically named the President Barack Obama's chair of the Council for Economic Advisors. Now, the report argues that federal unemployment assistance of up to 40% of the covered wages, with a maximum federal UI $400, it notes that such a benefit would replace 80 to 90% of lost income for those making the minimum wage. The report also notes that the unemployment insurance requires balancing the desire to help households smooth out their consumption against the more hazard of unemployment insurance flat out discouraging workers. So, we have a lot of misinformation, and a lot of people have very varying opinions as to what's going on right now with these unemployment benefits. And, I think the final question worth considering is whether or not the federal government should fill the 100% of the state and local government budget shortfalls. Now, as you guys are aware, President Trump did authorize an executive order to provide $400 unemployment additional benefits. And, he told that he wanted the states to provide $100 of the $400 and that he would do $300. I should say the federal government would do that. But a lot of the states are telling the federal government that they just flat out don't even have that money, even from the original CARES Act. So there's just a lot of negotiations that are still taking place right now. And I think the real question is, where do we go from here? Well, the current standoff still leaves parties in a very curious position. The Democrats are willing to come down, they're willing to negotiate, and they're willing to trim what they originally wanted by $1 trillion, but they will not compromise on the unemployment benefits or the state and local government aid. And the Republicans, they're not willing to even come up $1 trillion, but they are willing to compromise on both of these two key issues. And so I think it really is going to kind of come down to who is going to budge first. What I think is going to have to happen is I think that we're going to have to wait to see if we really come flat out of this recovery period, the initial recession period, and to find out if unemployment just goes back down to 2.5%, 3%. And if that does, then I think that's going to give Republicans a lot more leverage. Or the flip side is that if unemployment continues to rise and continues to go up, which it has not been over the past few weeks, then I think that's going to give Democrats more leverage. And so at this point, we're just kind of a wait-and-see type approach. I would love to be able to give you guys an update and say that, yes, we have a stimulus package. I think we've already agreed on and we acknowledge that, the $1,200 stimulus check, that is coming. But as of right now, they have still yet to determine what they want to do from a stimulus agreement package. So someone's going to have to give. Now, if you guys are not aware, Congress is on recess. The Senate and also the House of Representatives, they are on recess until the middle of September. They've decided not to continue negotiations, and they've decided to take vacation. Great. So they're on vacation, aka recess. We still have a ridiculously high unemployment rate, and we have, but the positive news is that we do have the unemployment numbers are continuing to decrease. So that's a good thing. So I think what's going to happen is Congress is going to continue to monitor the unemployment over the next few weeks. Because considering that they're looking at the unemployment numbers currently and that they can't come to a consensus, they're going to continue to monitor this to see if the numbers continue to go down or if they continue to go up. And I think that's what's going to determine whether or not which side budgets first. So we're just going to kind of take a wait and see approach to this, guys, and I really appreciate your patience with this because we're all kind of sitting here waiting very diligently. In the meantime, if you guys haven't already, I would highly encourage you all to subscribe to the channel. So if you're not aware, if you're new to the channel, this is a financial education channel. I do a lot of videos on financial education. So credit cards, investing, brokerage accounts, reviews, things of that nature. But as of late, I've been doing a lot of videos on the stimulus package updates and the stimulus negotiations to keep you guys updated with that. So if you do like the content and you appreciate the value that this video brings, please make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. So again, can't appreciate you guys enough. Can't appreciate your support. So thank you for tuning in. Be patient. As of right now, we're all just kind of waiting diligently to see what Congress does, and we're just going to kind of take it day by day. So hang in there. I will as well, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Take care.